Well, peace world. Come on, Freeman. React Radio, broadcasting live right here in the Capitol. We're here for Cori Bush, a congresswoman who's been sleeping outside, drawing attention to the moratorium expiration for evictions. And so we're going to join the crowd live, and I hope that we get the opportunity to see this empire turn around. All right? Here we go.
Showing your compassion, your caring for people without homes in America. The National Coalition is the oldest advocacy group that works on behalf of people experiencing homelessness in America. And what we hold to be true at the forefront of everything we do is that homeless people should be in the leadership when we talk about issues of homelessness. Homelessness to make sure people understand that we're not talking about older white males with alcohol issues. We're talking about women and children. We're talking about people who have really good jobs, who fell victim to the pandemic and the economic crisis that we have in this country. There's nowhere in the entire United States where a woman and her child can afford a bedroom if they work at minimum wage. That's not acceptable in the richest country in the history of the world. And often we get the idea from some of the people in the buildings behind us and the buildings across the street that homelessness is an issue of morality. It is not an issue of morality. Homeless people are not immoral. They are people that are suffering an economic crisis. The immorality is in the State House. And it's on Capitol Hill. It's in the halls of Congress. That's where the immorality lies. We have to end homelessness. In the immortal words of my congressman, my former congressman, the late Elijah Cummings, we can do better. We can end homelessness in the United States of America, and we can do it now. We must continue the moratorium. We cannot put thousands, hundreds of thousands of people into the streets. Homelessness is not easy. It's not easy. You know, I know for sure. I've been homeless myself. It's not a walk in the park. It's not an easy thing to do. It's the hardest thing that people can do in this country. And people that are homeless are resilient. They're beautiful, wonderful, caring people. And we must continue the moratorium. We must end homelessness in America. Thank you for being here. Congressman Bowman, thank all of you. Thank you. I love you, and please help us end homelessness.
Hi, everybody. I'm Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs. I'm from San Diego. I was here a little bit earlier with some of you, talking about how passionate you all were about the moment that we're in. And I just want to say thank you for all of you coming out here. I know some of you have been here with Congresswoman Bush since late last night, making sure that this issue does not go by the wayside, that we understand the human consequences of the decisions that we're making in this building right here behind us. So thank you for everything you're doing to make sure that this issue does not get forgotten. I'm from San Diego, so with all due respect to my colleagues from the Northeast, it's a little bit harder for me to get home and to stay here, and there were hundreds of us, who were willing to stay here and make sure that we got this done. And it is shameful that our colleagues decided to go home and let millions of people get evicted from their homes because we couldn't get this vote done. It is shameful.
Shameful.
Where I represent in San Diego, we have mansions on the beach, we have Fortune 500 companies, and we have the fourth largest homeless population in the entire country. And in a country like the United States, in a county like San Diego, in a state like California, that shouldn't be the case. And that is a policy choice, and we have to do better.
Woo!
This eviction moratorium is just about time. It's about giving our local and state governments time to get the money out the door that Congress already gave them. It's about families having the time to figure out their next steps and not get thrown out of the streets tonight at midnight or a few minutes ago. For me, 3 hours from now in California. It's about time to make sure that we get our country out of this pandemic and make sure that we are rebuilding in a way that's actually equitable and not just going back to the situation that we had in the past. And so thank you all for being here. I'm honored to be doing this work alongside you. And I'm an optimist. I think we're going to be able to get this done, and it's going to be because all of you are here making sure that your members and your representatives understand the real human consequences of this decision. So thank you all again. I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for coming. I'm in the megaphone because I'm going to be doing a lot more talking about. I'm trying to put my voice a little bit. But thank you all so much for coming in solidarity, because this movement is all about fighting for someone you don't know. That's right. Thank you for coming out here. I'm also left-handed. So, a lot of what we heard here is about what just happened here on Friday, and I want to break it down for you all too, because this is an epitome of how homelessness and poverty is a choice. It's poverty choice, and it's a policy choice, because members of Congress chose, a handful, chose to get on a plane instead of save people and keeping them in their homes. They chose to do that.
Woo!
So the 11 million people, the nearly 11 million people who are now at risk, starting a couple minutes ago because of the expiration of the eviction moratorium, the nearly 11 million Americans now that are at risk of being removed and evicted from their homes are there because people chose for them to be at risk tonight. People in there, now on a plane going home, chose for that to happen.
Name them.
What we're here to say is that, no. You need to come back and do your job. Follow Beltway insider politics and say, oh man, Congress just recessed for 7 weeks. There's no way they're going to come back, right? Well, let me tell you a little secret here, okay? When we just adjourned the House, we adjourned with clear instructions. Because of what was going on with the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the House adjourned with a strict 24-hour notice to return. So we did not just recess for 7 weeks. We recessed for 7 weeks under a 24-hour notice. So we aren't off the hook. We could pull that trigger and pull that 24-hour notice and bring everyone back to Washington so that not only...
That's right.
You just need to make a call. And there are members who don't want to make that call.
Who are they?
It's not enough for people to try to run away from this vote. And that's exactly what happened on Friday. They wanted to who's just up here tonight. He's been many fights in Congress that are public right now, like this one, right? But there are a lot that are private. And Representative McGovern, Chairman McGovern, he's always there defending us. When people are trying to butt our amazing members of our freshman class from San Diego. We sit together now on the newly created Select Committee on Economic Inequality that was just established this year, right? Really brave for the whole world today. They said, listen, you know, a lot of us are just here and we're privileged because what did we do this for that? Because we were born. Because some people were just born in that place. She said that right there for the whole world. And it's important to know that because there's a lot of mythology about people experiencing homelessness that people are trying to spread right now with the expiration of the moratorium, right? People are saying, oh, it's a pandemic. Why didn't these folks get a job in this economy, right? Do you know how many states where you can afford rent on a minimum wage right now? How are you going to tell folks, and by the way, plenty, huge proportions of people experiencing homelessness are employed, okay? Let's just go with that myth. Let's just go with the myth of laziness. When so many people struggling with homelessness are disabled, or there are veterans, or there are people that are experiencing trauma. We cannot be allowing these caricatures of family, of community, of our neighbors. Every single one of us. The fact of the matter is, every single one of us, vast majority of us, are much closer to being homeless than being a billionaire. If they don't want to accept the eviction moratorium, they need to tell that to the public. Please give a huge round of applause to one of the members, to really the member that started to keep this whole thing off, is Representative Cori Bush.
Representative Ocasio-Cortez, I call her Alex. So give me that little space to call her Alex. If you all would have seen Alex and I running down the hallway from the rotunda to the chamber, running to try to do what we could when we heard that something was going down. If you would have seen us, you would have wondered, are these actually Congress people? Are they actually running through the doggone Capitol? But yeah, because we didn't know what to do but get there. It was almost like sliding into home plate or still in third. It was just like, get it. But I didn't do that alone. We walked outside and we couldn't figure out what just happened. What do we do? And so we went live. Many of you saw that. We didn't know what to do. And then it's like, you know what? How do we reconcile in our hearts and in our minds? Well, it didn't happen, and Democrats didn't get it done. The Republicans don't even want to talk about it. You know, just, okay, well, I guess go home and, you know, all gets reset. Like, how do we reconcile that? I couldn't understand, how do I go home? And so, Alex and I and our teams, we played around on this very parking lot. Back in and so we ended up here. And you know, I want you to think about this. I'm new to DC. Very new. Thank you. So if I was at home in St. Louis, because I am that protest chick. I am. In St. Louis, yes. If I was at home in St. Louis, hey, we gonna occupy. Look, I got all the supplies for everybody and their mama in the house. But in DC, I didn't even have a sleeping bag. In DC, didn't have a chair. It was 8 o'clock, but you know what? By 9 o'clock, sitting back here, me and my chief of staff, sitting here with just 2 chairs and the Capitol Police around. That was it. How do we get people here? Let's just put out a post. And folks keep saying, Cori. But Cori put out a post. And what happened? You all answered the call. The least that we could do was put out a freaking tweet. The least that we could do was show up right here. The least that we could do was say. The least that we could do was think about somebody else. The least that we could do was remember humanity.
Yes, ma'am.
That was the least. That was the least. So we ain't gotta prop up those things, because that was the least. The bar is so freaking low. I have to think about over the last 24 hours. You know, we got to talk about our neighbors, our loved ones, our folks that are experiencing homelessness. Locally where I'm from, we say our friends, our neighbors who are unhoused. We've been talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, going home, talking about it, going to the restaurant, talking about it, you know, going, you know, to work, talking about it, and all of those things, and talking about it, and they're right there. Talking about it, they're over there. Talking about it, they're right there. Talking about it, and they're in our own family. Talking about it, and they're our own people.
Come on.
Yeah. And what? We get some photos. Well, you know what? Let's remember one thing. In this, we get to take zero glory. Zero. Because it's not about us, right? Yeah. It's not for this. This gives us no glory. To see people live, it gives us no glory. It is the least we could do.
Right.
That's right.
Thinking about every single time. You know how many times I cried over the last 24 hours being triggered? And people keep asking me the same questions over. Well, tell me why you wanted to. Tell me why you wanted to. Well, explain to me. And traumatizing me over and over again. But because it's not about me, and because I need people to see what happens to people when they are truly unhoused, when you don't have anybody else to call because you've already exhausted your resources, because your network does not have much to be able to help you. But we don't see each other's humanity enough to give each other that space. But I'm asking you to give that space. I cried over and over again, even on television. I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that shot. But you know what I won't take? Is more death due to failed leadership and inactivity. $7 million, $8 million, $9 million, $10 million, $11 million whole people get to go. They get to go and be forced out. They get to be forced out because folks are comfortable and they don't see their humanity. Every single one of us, we gotta shake this ground and shake it so hard to where they are so uncomfortable. Those that won't see, that they are so uncomfortable that they can't even stand their own skin. I gotta do something. I gotta fix it. Convicted so much because of you, and not criticism. I'm not talking about that. Not criticizing out of hatred. We don't do that. That's not how you win people. But can you call them to task about their own issues? Absolutely. Did you want to make sure that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 million people had a home when you went to yours? Yeah. That is What is about to happen, you all, if we don't get something done? There were deaths all across this country over the last year of our friends because they didn't have a home. Some froze to death. Quite a few froze to death. We know this, right? We know people actually froze to death because they didn't have a place to go. Don't we know that?
Yes.
Is anybody unsure about that?
No.
People died of heat exhaustion because they didn't have a place to go. And so before we move from here, I am heartbroken. I am heartbroken that the administration didn't get this done. I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken because some people will start getting their stuff thrown out tomorrow because the pay or vacate notice went out days ago, so that August 1st they can be out. And how do we capture those people and help them to get the resources they need? I'm heartbroken because not having a home is something that tears your life apart, and it's so hard to pull it back together because it's violence on your mind, your soul, and your spirit. It's violence on your legacy. It's violence on your children. It's violence on your body. It's violence. I'm heartbroken because this world, this country is not the land of the free and the home of the brave, because bravery didn't show up yesterday. Life didn't show up. Liberty didn't show up. The pursuit of happiness did not show up. Make the flag who the flag is supposed to be. Let America be who America says it's supposed to be. And right now, that's not who we are. And so we will take a moment. I want everybody to pull out your phone. So our colleagues have already talked about the technical things that happened, that should have happened, that didn't happen. So I won't go back through all of that. But I want us to remember what happens when people don't have adequate housing. And right now we have 600,000 people who lost their lives to COVID that would be alive right now today had COVID not hit our country. And what's going to happen when we add 7 million people plus to our streets? And how many more will end up there? Pull out your phones. Turn on your lights. And hold them up. I want to ask our staff and all of my colleagues to come up here. How often do we take a moment for our people who were experiencing homelessness and didn't make it because our policy failed them? How often do we take the time to call out their names? How often do we recognize them? How often do we think about them? So this moment we will take for every single life that was lost on the streets because someone did not have adequate housing because our country failed them. So we will take a moment of silence, because those are our people, and we say no more. No more. No more. Let's take a moment of silence. Now, if you're fired up, you gotta say you won't take it anymore.
I won't take it anymore.
I'm fired up. Won't take it anymore.
Won't take it anymore.
Won't take it anymore.
All of us. But one thing that I can say is that what has happened here today has made reverberations, right? It is making reverberations. That's the thing. When it comes to protest, demonstration, they want y'all to think it doesn't matter. They want you all to think that they're not watching. But when 1 out of every 6 renters in this country is behind on rent, but let me say that again. When we talk about 11 million people, that's 1 out of every 6 renters. So first of all, they rely on our shame, but we won't let them do that. But this is reverberating out to New York, and our organizers down in New York are now busting down people's feet here at home. We'll at least be here tomorrow.
All right, so it looks like we already have our assignment is we will be back tomorrow. So if everybody can bring somebody or tell somebody, let's make this if New York is hopping on the bus coming down. Those of us that are already here can make sure that we are out here. And let's remember this. Y'all, we are talking about lives at stake. Let us keep the main thing. Let us give space, because let me say this. When I was out there protesting in Ferguson, and we're talking about what's happening to Black lives, I didn't want to hear you coming to me telling me about something that had nothing to do with this subject. I needed you to focus on this thing, because this thing is killing us. And so I want to make sure that our unhoused community members, that our people who are experiencing homelessness get that same love and that same energy.
All right, Councilwoman Lewis George, you just heard from the national level.
Yeah.
What does this mean in your interpretation on the local level here in D.C.?
Yeah, here on the local level, we're fighting the same fight, right? Every time we say we need to extend the eviction moratorium, we get flooded by landlords, by developers, by people wanting to put profit before people. And so everything they do on the national level impacts us on the local level. It impacts the funds that we get. It impacts the support that we have, especially here in D.C., where we don't have statehood. This is even more important. We may not have a vote in Congress, but we have our voices. And so I wanted to make sure people understood that while protests are happening here in our city or on the national level, D.C. has its own displacement, its own gentrification. 44 individuals have died from homelessness right here in the district. And so we have an obligation to extend the eviction moratorium. I said it every time. Housing is not only a human right, it is health care, it is safety. And we have a moral obligation to make sure that the eviction moratorium is extended, and so that our residents know they are supported. We cannot continue to tell people to stay home and stay safe and not give them a home to stay in, and not ensure that they can stay in their home. So for us here in D.C., we're having the same fight on a local level, having the same influences come in and try to impact representatives. And all of our humanity is connected in this nation. That is what this pandemic has shown us. Our humanities are connected. That's what a global pandemic shows us, that we have to do everything we can together, and making sure we extend this moratorium is a part of our humanity. It is a moral obligation. It is a policy failure not to do so.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
All right.
Congresswoman Cori Bush for smiling. Community as a community study. So for folks who want to be here, we put some supplies off to the right. We've got some snacks.
Okay.
Some sleeping bags here.
All right.
And we don't plan to go
Hey,
somewhere. Some of
friend.
us will stick around. Some of us may decide to leave. We're not going to say, hey, you shouldn't be leaving. No. You can come back tomorrow. If you can't come back tomorrow, you can send your friends. Okay? And we're
Yes.
here because this is an eviction emergency and we need to deal with it like the emergency that it is because we need to save lives.
Period.